This is the story of one of the most tense, dramatic manhunts you've never heard of. A story that ends not in a shootout on a highway, but in the suffocating darkness of a basement crawl space. This is how the hunters became the ghosts and trapped their prey. Welcome, everyone. If you're new to the channel, help us uncover more stories like this by hitting that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. Today's tale is a masterclass in modern law enforcement. It's a narrative that proves the old adage, you can run, but you can't hide. Not forever, and certainly not from the U.S. Marshals. To understand the hunt, you first have to understand the quarry. Derrick Groves wasn't a nationally known crime lord. In the vast ecosystem of American crime, he was a regional predator, but his alleged actions had devastating local consequences. Based on court documents and official announcements, Groves was facing a litany of serious charges. We're talking about aggravated assault, armed robbery, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Let's give him context. Aggravated assault implies not just a threat, but an act that created a serious risk of death or caused major injury. Armed robbery means he allegedly used a weapon to steal not just property, but a person's sense of security. These are visceral, terrifying crimes that shatter communities. For the victims, the fact that the man accused of these acts was free was a continuous, lingering nightmare. The local authorities in Fulton County had issued warrants for his arrest. They knew who he was, they knew what he'd allegedly done. But when they went to pick him up, he was gone. He had slipped into the shadows of Atlanta's sprawling metropolitan area, a region of nearly 6 million people. It's a place where you can easily disappear if you know how. And Derrick Groves, it seemed, knew how. He became a ghost. He stopped using his phone. He avoided his known haunts. He relied on a network of associates, people willing to hide him, to feed him, to give him a couch to sleep on. The local police are incredible, but they're also incredibly busy. They have active caseloads, new crimes happening every day. A fugitive who goes to ground can easily slip down the priority list, not out of neglect, but out of necessity. That's when the call was made. The call to bring in the specialists. The call to the U.S. Marshals Service. Who are the U.S. Marshals? Most people, if they know them at all, think of them as court security or the people who transport prisoners. And that is a part of their duty, a crucial one. But their original, their oldest duty, established by George Washington himself, is hunting fugitives. They are the nation's primary fugitive hunting force. They have resources, jurisdiction, and a single-minded focus that local agencies often lack. They operate the 15 Most Wanted Fugitives program. They run regional task forces that combine federal, state, and local officers, and they have a success rate that is the stuff of legend. When the marshals come to town, it's because the game has changed. The Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force, based in Atlanta, took the Groves case. This wasn't just another file on a stack. This was a mission. Finding Derrick Groves became an obsession. So, how do you find a man who doesn't want to be found? You don't start by kicking down doors. You start with nothing. You start with a vacuum. The first phase of any manhunt is the intelligence phase, and it is painstaking, tedious, and brilliant detective work. The team would have begun by building what's known as a fugitive profile. This is more than just his charges. This is his entire life, digitized and mapped. His associates. Who are his family members? His close friends? His old girlfriends? Who does he trust? They create a web of connections, a social spiderweb. They look for the weakest strand. His habits. What does he like to eat? Does he have a favorite barbershop? A preferred brand of cigarettes? Did he have a regular gym? Habits are the enemy of the fugitive. They are patterns, and patterns can be predicted. His digital shadow. Even if he ditched his phone, his associates didn't. The marshals, with legal authority, would be analyzing call records, looking for patterns. A phone that only calls 1 or 2 numbers. A number that pings off a cell tower in a specific neighborhood, night after night. That's a clue. They would be scouring social media. Not necessarily his, but the accounts of everyone he knows. A cousin posts a picture of a family barbecue in the background. They'll digitally enhance that photo, looking for a face in the crowd. For weeks, this is what the task force did. They lived and breathed Derrick Groves. They memorized his face, his walk, his tattoos. They knew him better than he knew himself. And slowly, the vacuum began to fill with whispers, with fragments of data, with tips from confidential informants. The intelligence began to coalesce. The digital breadcrumbs, the whispers from the street, the patterns of his associates, they all started pointing to one location. A specific house. The kind of place with a driveway, maybe a kid's bike in a yard. The perfect place to hide precisely because it looked so ordinary. The task force set up surveillance. For days, they watched. They used unmarked cars, officers disguised as utility workers, maybe even remote cameras. They were looking for any sign of him. A curtain moving, a face in a window. But Groves was disciplined. He didn't show himself. This is where the story enters its most critical phase. The team had a strong belief, a certainty based on their work, that Groves was inside that house. But they had no visual confirmation. They couldn't get a warrant based on a hunch, no matter how well informed. They needed probable cause. This is the constitutional safeguard that separates a police state from a nation of laws. The marshals are bound by it, and they're experts in working within its framework. So they devised a plan, a high-risk, high-reward tactical operation. The day was set. The team assembled in the pre-dawn hours. This would be a knock-and-announce operation, but with the force and speed of a lightning strike. The goal: secure the house, secure any occupants, and find Derrick Groves. Imagine the scene from the inside. The family in the house, asleep. The quiet of the neighborhood. And then, boom, shouts of U.S. Marshals. Search warrant. Get on the ground. The team floods in. They move with practiced, fluid precision. Room to room. They secure the living room, the kitchen. They find startled occupants, get them on the ground, handcuffed for everyone's safety. They clear the first floor. Nothing. They move upstairs, checking bedrooms, closets, under beds. Still nothing. The tension is rising. Every second that passes, the chance of a confrontation, of a hidden weapon, increases. They clear the entire second floor. No Derrick Groves. A moment of doubt, however brief, might flicker through their minds. Were we wrong? Did he slip out? Is this a dry hole? But these are professionals. They don't panic. They reassess. The house has a basement. Of course. They move to the basement door. It's likely locked or blocked. They breach it. They flood down the stairs, their weapon-mounted flashlights cutting beams through the dank, dark air. The basement is cluttered. Boxes, old furniture, a washing machine. They clear the corners. They look behind the water heater. He's not there. The team leader's eyes scan the room. His training takes over. In a basement, there's often one more place to look. The crawl space. A low, tight, dirty space not meant for humans, often accessed by a small, removable hatch or a low opening. And there it is. A small, dark opening, barely big enough for a man to squeeze through. It's like a black hole, and it's the only place left. One of the marshals gets down on his hands and knees. He shines his light into the void. The beam cuts through the dust motes, illuminating a nightmare scene. Cobwebs, pipes, insulation, and the grime of decades. And then the light catches something. A shape, a huddled form, trying to press itself into the farthest, darkest corner of the earth. It's him, Derrick Groves. The marshal doesn't crawl in after him. That's a tactical nightmare. Instead, he issues commands, his voice firm, authoritative, echoing in the cramped space. Derrick Groves, show me your hands. Crawl out toward my voice. Now. There's a moment of silence. A standoff in the most absurd, claustrophobic arena imaginable. Slowly, reluctantly, he begins to move. He shuffles, crawls through the dirt and the darkness, towards the light, towards the voices of the men who had outthought, outresisted, and outhunted him. He emerges into the basement, covered in grime, defeated. He is immediately taken into custody, searched, and placed in handcuffs. There is no struggle. The fight is gone. The operation, from the moment the ram hit the door to the moment the cuffs clicked on his wrists, likely took less than 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes were the culmination of weeks of relentless, intelligent, and determined work. Derrick Groves was booked into the Fulton County Jail, finally facing the charges against him. For the victims, it was a moment of closure, a restoration of faith that the system, though slow and methodical, could work. For the community, it was the removal of an alleged predator from their streets. But this story is about more than just one man's capture. It's a case study. It demonstrates the evolution of fugitive tracking. It's no longer just about dusty footprints and wanted posters in post offices. It's about data analysis, digital forensics, psychological profiling, and old-fashioned shoe leather, all fused together into a powerful, modern tool for justice. The U.S. Marshals Service, in this operation and thousands like it every year, proved why they are considered the gold standard. They are patient, they are precise, and they operate on a simple, unshakable principle. There is no hole dark enough, no hideout clever enough to escape the relentless pursuit of American justice. The hunt for Derrick Groves is over, but there are always more stories unfolding in the shadows, more puzzles to be solved, more missions being undertaken by the quiet professionals who keep our society safe. What did you find most fascinating about this case? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please give this video a like, share it with someone who would find it fascinating, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives. Thank you for watching. Stay curious.